Thank the gentleman. Let me recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Swazi, to inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you again for trying to promote bipartisan legislation. The people in America are hungering for us to do things together as a group, and I think that this committee's made a lot of strides between you and the ranking member and the committee members to try and do things in a bipartisan fashion. And we've heard a lot of talk about bipartisanship here today, and we certainly want to encourage that. I want to thank all the witnesses. We are so grateful to all of you. You've been here for I don't know how many hours, and I don't think you've had a break the whole time. So thank you so much for the time that you've put in here today and for the preparation. And all of your stories, resonate with me, certainly. The talk of the sandwich generation that several of you have brought up really resonates with me. I grew up in a house where all four of my grandparents lived. Three of them were very sick. My mom and dad just recently passed away. My dad was 95. My mom was 93. We were very fortunate that they had long-term health care insurance, big challenge we face in our country as well. And my wife and I have young children, and, trying to manage those things, everything you talked about, Ms. Karp, I really understand what you're talking about. What all of you talked about really resonates very well. And Ms. Gressler, I want to echo what my colleague was saying earlier about you having 6 children. That's really one of the remarkable stories here today. And, I can only imagine what you would have done if one of your employers said they wouldn't give you paid family leave. Would you have quit the job?
That's an interesting question. I don't know, just not having paid family leave, whether or not that would have caused me to quit, but I would absolutely say the flexibility that I've been able to have, not just in taking that time off, but also I don't have a normal 9 to 5, 5 days a week schedule, and that's what's allowed me to stay in the labor force.
So you really, you come across as a very remarkable person, very talented, very capable person, and I can understand why your employers would, first of all, employers may be nice people in some cases that they want to do it, and you're also probably a valued employee that they would work very hard to try and keep you. You're an exceptional person, but not everybody's in that situation. And our country faces this very big challenge right now that, we've seen the stock market go up since 1983 by 1,200%. We've seen the GDP since 1983 go up by 600%, but workers' wages are not going up. And we've seen a big shift in our country where certainly public companies, but companies generally, see their main job is to take care of their shareholders and to take care of the bottom line. And the employees have been left behind. And this is just another issue where if we could rely on the goodwill of companies and the goodwill of people, that we're all in this together in America, we've all got to work together, maybe they would go out of their way to say, listen, everybody here knows how emotional these situations are. We all have been through these circumstances. Maybe employers would do this if they were in that mindset. But the mindset has changed in our country over the past 20 or 30 years, and it's just about the bottom line. And we see that in wages not going up for employees, while tremendous wealth is being created. And we see it in an issue like this, where this is not just you'd think this would be something that everybody would want to do. Big companies can do this, and they understand, even when trying to value their shareholders, that it's good for their shareholders that their employees are happy. That's why they're doing this as a policy. It makes sense. But some smaller employees and some other companies just haven't figured that out yet. And that's why the role of government, certainly we on the Democratic side think government has a role to smooth out some of these rough edges that come forth in our wonderful system of capitalism. But there's challenges we face in our capitalist society right now that some people are being left behind. And families that are being left behind because of these personal circumstances where they can't get a break to take care of their parents, to take care of their kids, to go through a grieving process, they need a break. And we're trying to say we've got to do something that everybody in the country is protected, not just the talented, super successful people with employers that are nice people.
Yeah, I share that concern with you, and that's who I'm really particularly worried about here is the low-income people. I've been fortunate that I've worked for people who have provided us paid family leave, and there are a lot of employees who don't work for those companies. What I'm more concerned, though, about, rather than having that paid family leave, though, is if that person, a low-income worker, is working for a small employer that simply can't make it on their bottom line, and now they're forced to pay higher taxes. If one low-income worker loses their job and 15 low-income workers gain access to paid family leave, that's not worth it to me. A job loss can put somebody into poverty, it can make them homeless, and so I really want policymakers, we want paid family leave, I think everybody here does, but I would really like for us to look at targeting it best to the low-income people who need it in a way that doesn't make them pay for that leave for higher-income people.
Well, I'm certain that talented people of goodwill, if they work together, can address this problem. So we're hoping that you and all of our colleagues here can work together to try and solve this problem and address a very real problem that we face in our country and real people's lives. You've all been very persuasive today to highlight how this is a real problem we face in our country, and we must do something. And we hope that under the leadership of our chairman, we'll be able to figure this out. So thank you very much.
Thank the gentleman.